WWE 2K23 portrays a much different universe from the one we saw in 2K22, with several superstars forcing their way into the main event scene. Since the last release of the series, WWE has undergone some wholesale changes from top to bottom, with Triple H leading the on-screen creative process, and over the course of the year, many superstars have increased their status in the company, earning themselves a higher rating in 2K23 compared to their last WWE video game appearance. So with that said, let's take a look at the most improved superstar ratings in WWE 2K23. And just to note, this list doesn't include legends or retro versions of a certain superstar, and make sure you check out the most nerfed ratings in WWE 2K23 when you're done. First up, we start with the head of the table and the head of the 2K ratings this year. Coming in with the highest ever rating in the history of WWE games, at least for a standard roster member, is Roman Reigns, with the Tribal Chief being awarded a 99 overall. At the time of 2K23's release, Roman has held the WWE Universal Championship for over 900 days, with his WWE Championship reign closing in on the 1-year mark. Entering the game cycle at the peak of his career thus far, dominating the field as the leader of the Bloodline, Roman sees himself up 4 points from 2K22, rising from a 95 rating. Last year, Reigns was already the highest rated superstar in the game, with his run as the undisputed Universal Champion only solidifying his place at the top of the food chain. And speaking of phenomenal runs, Rhea Ripley has quickly established herself as the most dominant woman on the roster ever since Triple H took the reins of WWE Creative. This was highlighted during her recent blitz through the Royal Rumble 2023 match that saw her enter at number 1, eliminating 7 competitors on the way to being the last woman standing. Much like Roman and a few others on this list, Rhea has risen by 4 points, going from an 86 in 2K22 up to a 90 rating this year, with her now being the 5th highest rated active woman on the game. And have no doubt that Mami has her eye on leapfrogging her rivals in the upcoming year, starting with a SmackDown Women's title win at WrestleMania. Now let's move on to the highest rated woman in WWE 2K23, Becky Lynch. As the 3rd highest rated active wrestler on the disc entirely, Becky is one of the most decorated stars in the women's division right now, having won the Royal Rumble once, the Raw Women's title twice, the SmackDown Women's title 4 times, whilst also being one half of the reigning women's tag team champions with Lita at the time of the game's release. Whilst this past year hasn't been Becky's best one to date, she's established herself as a key part of Triple H's plans, once again reverting back to the man persona. As for where she is compared to last year, Becky has risen 4 points from a 92 rating in 2K22, going all the way up to a 96, seemingly aided by a bump in ratings across the board for the top women in the game. And speaking of that, Charlotte Flair enters WWE 2K23 with a rating of 94, 2 less than her Irish rival, with her remaining the 3rd strongest superstar in the women's division. When WWE 2K22 was released, Charlotte found herself at the top of the SmackDown brand as the SmackDown Women's Champion before losing it shortly after. With that said, she struts into WWE 2K23 with the gold once again, having won the SmackDown Women's title back in recent months. As the now 16-time Women's Champion in WWE, if you count her NXT title runs, there's no question that Flair deserves to be near the top of the charts in the 2K23 ratings, with a rise from 90 in 2K22 to a 94 in 2K23, a solid acknowledgement of her position in the company. And before we get to the rest of today's video, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on, as we aim for 10,000 subscribers, hopefully in the near future. Now that WWE 2K23 is upon us, we can expect a ton of content coming to the channel that you won't want to miss, with the release of AEW Fight Forever also on the horizon. Social media star Logan Paul made his WWE Games debut last year in 2K22, with him appearing as part of the Whole Damn Pack DLC. At the time, he had competed in just one match, having teamed with The Miz to defeat Rey and Dominic Mysterio at WrestleMania 38, impressing with his athletic ability. In response to his performance, 2K would award Logan with an 80 rating. Since then, he's worked 4 more matches, one of which being the main event of Crown Jewel 2022, where he went toe-to-toe with the undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns, coming within one lucky punch of winning the whole damn thing. His short but impressive rookie year has seen him rise by 4 points this time around, being awarded a solid 84, which tops the likes of Ricochet and Austin Theory, whilst being level with our next entry. Sami Zayn has become one of the most beloved WWE superstars over the course of the last year, evolving from a comedy heel that you love to hate into an organic babyface that you can't help but get behind. Sami has captured the hearts of the WWE universe in recent times thanks to his interactions with the Bloodline, which culminated with a chair shot heard around the world as the once willing and keen honorary Uce finally said enough is enough. Entering 2K23 with an 84 rating, up 4 points from his 80 rating this time last year, it's certainly going to be a challenge to defeat the game's top-rated superstars as the underdog from the underground. And speaking of the Bloodline, next up we have one half of the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions at the time of recording, Jimmy Uso. Much like the rest of the Bloodline, Jimmy comes into 2K23 hot on the heels of his best wrestling year to date, having played the part of a Roman Reigns loyalist to perfection. Unlike his brother Jay, Jimmy has stayed unquestionably loyal to the tribal chief, with the storyline building a true distinction between the identical twins. For the final time today, we see an increase of 4 points, with Jimmy going from an 85 in 2K22 all the way up to an impressive 89 overall rating in 2K23, leaving him just shy of a place in the 90+ category. On the other hand, we have Jey Uso, who at times has shown a certain lack of enthusiasm towards the Bloodline's antics, particularly when it comes to their treatment of Sami Zayn towards the end of his run in the group. Since then, however, he has once again pledged his allegiance to the flag of the Anoa'i family, taking Zayn out in the process. Unlike his brother Jimmy, who has been on the receiving end of some injuries and personal issues away from the ring, Jey has seen more singles action in recent times, at one stage even challenging the tribal chief for the WWE Universal Championship in late 2021. It appears that his brief breakout moments have been acknowledged by 2K, with him going from an 85 in 2K22, which was the same as Jimmy, all the way up to a 90 rating this time around, one more than his Uce. Perhaps one of the most surprising names to make this list is Randy Orton, who has actually only wrestled 10 televised matches since last year's release, all of which taking place 2 months of 2K22 hitting shelves. Those 2 months would see Orton hold onto the Raw Tag Team Championships alongside RK Bro teammate Matt Riddle, this before the pair dropped their titles to the Usos in a winner-takes-all unification match. With that said, the Viper finds himself bumped up by an impressive 5 points, going from an 88 rating to a 93, despite his lack of television time, perhaps only justified by his strong legacy in the company, no pun intended. And let's return to the top of the women's division, this time with the second highest active female on the game, Bianca Belair. Since the launch of WWE 2K22, the EST has won her first Raw Women's Championship, having held it for close to 350 days at the time of 2K23's release. The win at WrestleMania 38 would come 1 year after Belair main evented Mania 37, where she won the SmackDown belt, a night that solidified her place at the top of the roster. Her position on the card has been reflected in 2K23 more so than ever, having shot up by a huge 8 points compared to 2K22, going from an 87 all the way to a 95, surpassing many of her rivals in the process. Liv Morgan is a superstar that has had nothing short of a breakout year since the release of WWE 2K22, having gone from underdog contender to champion when she won the Money in the Bank briefcase in July 2022, before cashing it in on Ronda Rousey that very same night to become the SmackDown Women's Champion. Liv would go on to keep hold of the title by any means necessary for almost 98 days, with the entire reign taking place in between game releases. Now breaking into the top 10 most powerful active women in the game, 2K have answered calls from Liv to watch her, with them awarding her with an 86 rating in 2K23, up 9 whole points from middle of the road 77 rating last time around. As WWE 2K17 approached, Cody Rhodes would find himself at rock bottom, forced to betray the less than favourable Stardust persona, resulting in a shambolic 74 rating, an all-time low for his career. The huge decrease was not only due to his on-screen presentation, but it was also seemingly linked to his departure from the company, with him already an active part of both Impact Wrestling and Ring of Honor by the time 2K17 dropped. Fast forward 6 years later, and Cody has seen huge success outside of WWE, with him being a key factor in the launch of rival All Elite Wrestling, this before returning to WWE as the American Nightmare. His newfound position as one of the company's most valuable players has seen Rhodes shoot up by a massive 17 points compared to his last video game appearance, rising all the way up to a 91 2021 as he embarks on the Rhodes to WrestleMania and his upcoming clash with undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns. And before you go, make sure you check out every brand new superstar in WWE 2K23.